Welcome to the Game Society Pimps podcast. We have special guests today. I'm Aaron.
I'm Emery.
And our special guests... Yeah, you guys should announce yourselves. Go ahead.
Can we? Go on, Ross, you go first. I ruined it.
Well, thanks, Lauran. I'm Ross, and we're going to announce each other.
Hi, friends. I'm Lauran Carter, host of the SuperCoolCast and general games industry person. Yeah.
Damn, that is a nice title.
General games industry person.
I am a games industry person.
She used to be major games industry person, but she was promoted.
Ooh.
General. Yep, here I am.
Well, I'm Admiral of the Games Fleet, so I think I rank slightly higher than you.
Yeah, you win. Whatever you say,
I'm just a lowly specific games industry person.
That's good.
Lowly specifics.
Thanks for coming on our podcast, you guys, and thanks for having us on your podcast. I'm glad we could return the favor.
Thank you so much for inviting us. Yeah.
This is the Game Society Pimps podcast for our patrons, and we have lots to talk about. I just got back from E3. I know that Ross was also at E3.
I was indeed, yes. It was a long week.
And I actually walked 7 miles a day, according to my Fitbit, and got like 15,000 steps. So it was... I could have not walked some of it, and I did, actually, because there's scooters everywhere. You can just, hop on scooters with an app and, take them and then just leave them on the sidewalk.
I had such a good time on those scooters that week.
Yeah.
Disproportionately good time.
So your scooters story, I swear to God, it infected Chicago. Because literally the day after you told me about the whole scooters thing, I saw an article about scooters popping up in Chicago. And then I saw people complaining on my Facebook about how scooters are fucking everywhere now.
Yeah. Yeah, so, they're going everywhere. And then the thing is, it's going to help with population control.
Yes.
Because a lot of people ride those they have no cares in the world. They're not worried about anything. They're not wearing a helmet because, I didn't have a helmet, so I couldn't. But especially people in LA, they when they're walking and when they're on this transfers to when they're on scooters. People are a lot better about people walking and crosswalks and stuff like that in LA. They're more aware when they're driving. So people are just kind of when I'm walking, I don't have to pay that much attention. I can just, walk into the street and I know people are going to stop. And so they think that applies to scooters too, but it doesn't. So a lot of people are going to die because they don't realize how incredibly fragile and dangerous it is to be on a scooter cruising along and not paying attention to your surroundings. I feel like in Chicago, people are going to be very aware of what's happening because nobody stops for pedestrians in the Midwest.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I know that personally when I was going to school in Chicago, pretty much every week I would have somebody missing from one of my classes because they got hit by a car, though, when they were biking on their way to class.
Yeah.
So... But yeah, anyways.
I did read that they are bringing the scooters, the bird scooters are going to come to London, so that's going to really help.
I'm not doing that, pal. Not in a million years. Can you imagine what it would be like doing that in London?
Yeah, it would be instant death, yes.
Yes.
And
I mean, if the scooter isn't stolen from underneath you, then yes, instant death is what comes next.
And I mean, there's some cities where, even Chicago's a little iffy because it's I guess when it's winter, they'll just go around and pick them all up. But there's inclement weather in a lot of cities, so it makes sense in LA. I don't know. We'll see how it goes in these other cities.
Oh shit, you're right. Scooting on ice. I don't know how that would work.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I think in London you'd also be at very serious risk of electric shock during every rainstorm.
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly. I don't know. They must have a solution for that. But anyway, if you're listening to this and you do decide to go out and ride one of those scooters in a major city, just be really paranoid about every car that you see and be constantly vigilant because you are very, very unsafe on those things. It is fun though.
It sounds terrifying.
It might make you feel invincible, but you're not.
No, you're really not.
A bag of flesh and bones. Yeah. Gross.
So, on to the actual meat and cheese of E3, which is gaming, video games, new games, especially the ones that I got to play. Ross, did you get to mess around with any new games?
I mean, I did get, I got to play the Borderlands demo, which, for obvious reasons, I found that very entertaining. I got very little time to do any hands-on with anything, but I did, I'm sure we'll touch on it later, but I did get in to see Cyberpunk. That was not a hands-on, but it was a very, very enjoyable demo.
Yes, I got in to see that as well, thank God, and it was amazing. We only saw one little section of the game, and you could just tell it was going to be this crazy, immersive, amazing game with like so many different varieties of ways to do things in the game.
Yeah, I mean, it was very... I don't know which one... Did you see the 20-minute or the 45-minute demo? Because I got into the 45.
Oh, you did? I only saw the 20-minute demo.
And
so what happened in the 45-minute? Tell me all about it.
Well, I mean, I don't know. And they're going to put it online, so I don't know how much I can say, but I will talk about it in general terms. It was a very, very cool environment. It was set in a very specific part of the city with like very specific gang members. And the minute that you saw the gameplay start after they went through the character creation, you could tell that there was, it had this really strong vibe, like an instantaneous vibe of being in this kind of grimy, I guess the only word for it is cyberpunk setting. And the cool elements of things like the heads-up display, like being built into the eyes and stuff. I love it when there's a justification for a heads-up display in a game.
Oh yeah,
right. It's on your helmet or it's in whatever. But in this, it's literally like, well, everybody's eyes are just the new hotness robot eyes, so you can just have whatever you want. And people are walking around and milling about and talking in it was Haitian Creole, I think, in this scenario, and people's subtitles would pop up about what they were saying, and then there would be an immediate kind of flickering, and that would change to English. And it's like these little touches and things, that were really, really cool.
Make you feel immersed.
Absolutely, yeah. And then, so... And then... Go ahead, go ahead, Aaron.
And then Keanu Reeves was, just appeared in front of your face, too, and, says stuff to you now and then.
Yeah, that is, I don't know if people are fully aware of this, but Keanu Reeves is definitely non-corporeal in this game. He's in and out like a flash, like coming in and making wisecracks and disappearing again.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought he was more like, buddy cop type thing. He was just with you the whole time.
I think he's sort of, ever present, like a guardian angel.
I see.
But
like a Cortana
just
in Halo,
somewhat.
Sort of thing.
It's just kind of like Keanu in real life, really.
Yeah, he's with all of us.
He actually, Ross, I don't know if I mentioned this, but Keanu Reeves actually stopped by while I was playing Borderlands.
Oh, that's amazing! The demo. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to. I hope that you recorded some of that conversation.
Oh yeah, I recorded all of it, and it's coming out on our channel on Saturday. But it was really interesting. Sure, he's a cool dude.
I don't know about you guys, but did you feel that there was a real shift this year at E3, like the kind of the ever so, because obviously the games industry is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and we're I don't know how, I can't remember if we're rivaling or dwarfing the movie industry and that kind of stuff, but there really feels like there was a shift this year. The amount of celebrities that showed up on various briefing stages, that kind of stuff. I don't know, it felt like we really stepped up.
I think the gaming industry might be bigger now.
I would say
I think it's
significantly bigger, already.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, and I was going to go in with dwarfing, and then I was like, if I'm wrong, this is a really bad word to be using. This is bad. Okay, that's good. But
there's
I really
a different word
it.
that they use for dwarfing now, right?
Hobbiting. We're hobbiting the movie industry.
That wasn't even what I was getting at. Oh my god, you guys. Oh, okay, we're already there. It's fine.
Tinking. It's tinking now.
Gotcha.
Oh yeah. Tink.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Tinking.
Tinking, yes.
Yeah, we can't say dwarf, you say tink. Yeah. As we learned in Borderlands 3, the word midget has been replaced with tink, which is wonderful. I love it.
Adorable.
But jumping quickly back to Cyberpunk, just the whole aesthetic is amazing. Like the gameplay itself, you were going through it was very much a. I think some people would. I read some things where people were saying they were disappointed that some of its mystique had kind of vanished now that they'd shown more people had seen the gameplay, and they're like, oh well, but it's just a first-person RPG, and I'm like, yeah, but it was never meant to reinvent the genre. It's just a freaking excellent one of those. In the same way that The Witcher 3 is a freaking excellent third-person RPG, you know, like it's like a Mass Effect or a anything of that ilk. And, being fully immersed in this environment, really good voice acting, like extraordinary settings, really cool weaponry. Like, I mean, there's the hacker character who would traditionally be, the one where you have less firepower and less like brute strength. Still had these amazing offensive options. I don't know if you saw this in your demo, Aaron, but the hacker character has these hacking cables that kind of come out of the wrists. Or out of
like that red
the glowing
whip.
Yes, exactly. And they just use it as this glowing red whip, and it's like literally like sneaking up
slices and dices. It's great.
There's the whole thing where like they would do an uppercut with this whip, and it would slice somebody literally in half, and the world would slow down into slow motion as the pieces of the body were flying apart. Nice. And then you can like cut them again in midair, like in a Metal Gear Rising kind of way. It was really something. And and that's the non-offensive character.
Yeah, and not only that, but they could hack into other people.
Oh, yeah.
And actually force them to like either kill themselves or attack their the other enemies. And one of the coolest touches that I noticed was, speaking of Keanu, it's kind of like there was like, do you remember in The Matrix when they're shooting up all the marble pillars?
Yes.
And like the marbles breaking away and flying over. Well, that's what happens to objects and concrete things and stuff like that in the game. As this guy we were watching was playing, the concrete was just being chipped away by bullets when he missed and stuff like that. And so it's just, like...
Yeah, it was
the first thing I wanted to do was just take a gun and like go shoot a concrete, piece of concrete and see if it can completely destroy it.
There's a beautiful moment in the demo where they take over a turret, and then they're sort of taking down people who are on an upper level. And as the turret they were tracking this person like running along an upper level with the turret, and as they were panning left, there was this beautiful like fountain statue or something of 3 horses in the middle of the courtyard, and like they just tracked the turret across it, and it just broke apart in the most satisfying way. It was just like
exactly
so much property damage. It's gonna be it's a tremendous game. It's really got a lot going on. I think it's gonna be a very special one of those kind of things.
Definitely.
Yeah, personally, if you can't take your gun and then shoot it into the wall and draw a penis with the bullet holes, I don't want to play the game. So, I mean, this seems like this is something that's going to be possible.
I've never met someone that has the exact same approach to video games as me. That's fascinating.
Yeah, GoldenEye 64, man. That's when I first, saw that happen, and it stuck with me ever since.
Best part of Duke Nukem Forever.
Okay.
Just when you that is a game that not many people remember or played or enjoyed. But if at the very beginning of the game, there's a whiteboard with functioning marker pens, and I do believe that everyone who did play that game immediately drew a penis on that whiteboard.
Good.
Yes.
Now, Emery, you say that's a requirement. However, like for a game that you'll play, when we played the second Life is Strange, you were able to, walk a dick in the snow.
Yes. Yeah.
But that was not a game that you enjoyed or would probably want to play ever again. So.
No, that was different because I walked it in the snow. I need to be able to like shoot it into a wall.
Okay. All right.
Walking into the snow, that's the reason why I didn't just uninstall that game and swear it off entirely. But
right. Like any game that allows you to make a snow angel cock is
it is an elegant solution for a game with no
can't be all bad.
Yeah. It was the only reason that the only pure joy that I managed to eke out of Peter Molyneux's mobile game, The Cube. Was it called The Cube? Did it have something else? Curiosity. And it was just like tapping. You just tap. I'm tapping. Can you hear that? You just had to tap loads and loads and loads and loads and loads of cubes, and you just keep tapping, and then eventually one person got to the middle and they won something. But that was like, you knew you weren't going to be that person, so I just spent as much time as possible just tapping out elaborate dicks. It was great. There we go.
You didn't miss out. The person that won shares in the Profits of Goddess, I think, which is it's a bit of a poison chalice.
I'll say. Good Lord.
I'm kind of curious what was elaborate about the dicks.
Well, just as big as you could. You start small, right? And you work out how many cubes it takes to make a good dick. And then you step it up and you just see how big you can make these things without, I mean, it's got to be efficient. You don't want it to take up too much of your time, because that's, as soon as you've finished one, other people could then be tapping away and erasing that the penis that you've made. So it was really about speed, but elaborate in size, I suppose.
You know that famous quote from Dr. Malcolm, cock finds a way. It's so true.
Always.
In any game.
Always.
That type of game you're talking about, actually, we demoed a little bit, I guess we just showed a little bit of footage from a game from Devolver last night on our Twitch stream, and it was called, what was that game called, Emery? Falling...
What?
Was it
Which
Fall,
game?
Fall, it was Fall
Something.
Guys? Fall Guys, was it?
Fall Guys.
Fall Guys.
Yes.
You played Fall Guys!
Oh.
I want to play Fall Guys.
It was special.
Oh. I
Yeah,
wanna play
that's going to
that.
be a really neat game. It's just like, it's crazy because you start out with 100 people,
Yes.
and then they gradually narrow it down. But that's, it's just a simple but really enjoyable game. It's like Gang Beasts for 100 people or something.
Yeah,
It's going to
Gang
be.
Beast Battle Royale.
It was... It's one of my E3 highlights, and I don't think it was even in a briefing, was it? It was just a little announcement that came out on the side, I think.
Well, I went over to the Devolver parking lot, which was wonderful, by the way, and they had like free food and drinks, and they had ping pong and like physical things you can do, and then a bunch of trailers you could go in to try out the games, and that's where I tried it out.
I'm on that. I want to play that game so bad. It looks cute.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else? Of course, Borderlands 3, which is going to be a classic Borderlands game, and is going to be incredibly fun. With the obvious best part of the game, the fact that when you go up to an ammo chest, it just automatically goes into your inventory.
Yeah.
No need to hold down X/square for the rest of your life.
It just happens.
That's literally the only thing I didn't like about Borderlands 2. The only thing.
Well, this is the year of the slide, so they have added a slide as well to the movement
Yay!
options. if you need to butt slide to get somewhere, Borderlands has you covered this year. Yeah.
Thank God.
good
I mean,
slide.
we were just saying that, if you don't have a slide, then your game's just not cool.
Yeah, Zombie Army 4 has a slide, so...
Yep.
It certainly does, yeah. I think they just added a couple of additional movement options. You got the slide and then the mantling over low walls as well, which is a nice one that people seem to like. But otherwise, more Borderlands. What I believe, based on all the commentary that I've seen on the various articles, where anytime anybody tries to throw shade at Borderlands 3 for being like, well, it just seems a bit like more Borderlands to me, and I see 25 comments that all say, that's what I want.
That's what we want. Yeah.
I don't want this. I don't want this to be a live service Destiny 2 clone. Like, I want it to be Borderlands, and I'm happy with that.
Don't
there's
make
something really
Borderlands
nice about
76.
Yeah.
That they're just kind of, this
isn't
works. People love it. Let's go with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a quality game, so just make it even better, and people will play it, and it'll be wonderful. Once they get over the fact that it's an exclusive to the Epic Store.
I'm sure I wouldn't know what you're talking about and couldn't possibly comment.
Wait, people care about that? What?
I don't know. Ask Adam.
But as we saw at E3, probably, I remember about at least like 60-70% of the banners were all like, an Epic exclusive. So it's the future. It's like what's happening.
Well, certainly coming to, all platforms. Definitely going to be on your PS4 and your Xbox as well. So, PC choices.
PS4 and your Xbox.
Epic for a while, and then I'm sure you'll see it going to other places.
Yeah, and it's fine. Steam's actually pissing me off right now. My 7 Days to Die game disappeared from my games list.
Ooh.
Oh, dear.
And there's no... I literally can't do anything about it because it says that that I still own the game and have the game. I can launch it from the store, but it doesn't exist otherwise, so I don't know how to update it or access it in any other way.
Wow.
It's like, and you look at that, you look up that glitch online, and there's nothing. Apparently no one's ever had this problem. So I don't, it's just
rubbish.
the curse. It's the curse.
Did you like right-click hide it or something? I don't even know if that's an option in the Steam
I don't.
library.
It's not. I've looked for ways to to remove a game in Steam, and it's really challenging. So there's just no way that happened.
God, I wish I could just troubleshoot with you right now while we're recording this podcast, because I know if we don't do it right now, I'm going to forget.
Here's a question, though, Emery.
Yeah.
You can access my Steam.
Yes.
So why don't you sign in and see if it's there?
Are you guys
I'm gonna
family
fucking do that.
sharing?
Yeah, that's adorable.
Yeah, man.
That's so sweet, though, isn't it?
We're the GSP family,
Aw.
the pimp family.
The pimp.
A family that pimps together.
Yeah, go with that one. Yeah.
I'm not going to finish that sentence.
Pimps forever.
Oh, that's
Oh, wow.
nice. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm logging into your Steam right now, buddy.
Yeah, it should
Logging in.
it should come right up at the top because 7.
Whoa.
'Cause
It's not there.
It's not there.
Just a reminder,
What?
everybody, you're listening to the Game Society Pimps live QA podcast.
We're trying to sort something out here, Ross. Can you just keep it quiet for a second?
yeah,
We've
sorry.
got Steam issues.
Yep.
God, this guy.
What the hell? It's totally not there.
Yeah, that's
Weird.
neat. That's something special.
Oh.
I'll
Sorry.
I'll email them later on and ask. I'll just say in an abstract way. I'll be like, so if something were to disappear from my library for some reason, why would that be? I'll see if I can
what
get you
can
an
I
answer.
do about it? That would be amazing because otherwise I am going to have to contact them or something because I don't know what's happening. So, but anyway, back to new games. I don't know if anyone saw the Dying Light 2 demo, but I did, and again, that game is just intense. The split-second decisions you have to make on a constant basis, it's just kind of insane. The zombies all go inside buildings during the day, and they move slowly. And then at night, they go out in the streets. So if you want to go inside buildings, it's safer at night if you need to go inside a building to get something. But if you end up inside of a building during the day, you're going to have a problem because there's going to be zombies everywhere.
That sounds
And
stressful.
sometimes it's required to, parkour your way all over the place, and you'll end up somehow inside of a building in the middle of the day, and it's just terrifying.
I remember really enjoying the original Dying Light. I played quite a lot of it, and it was good. I loved that it was 4-player co-op as well. Being on, if you can wrangle the people to play with you, that was a really good time. Especially they would throw in those interstitial little challenges for every now and again, point-to-point
And
races and stuff.
I don't actually know if this one is co-op. The game seems a bit different. Your challenge in the game is that you're trying to help this city. It's one of the last remaining cities, but after the apocalypse, it's been there for quite a while. So it's got this combination of sort of modern and also old sort of castle-y type things. And every decision you make changes the actual way that the city ends up looking. Because if you support one group or if you make one decision, it will change the way that things happen in the city. In fact, during this demo, there was a challenge of getting water back to everybody in the city because some guy was sort of hoarding it and stopping everyone from having water. And so if you choose to stop him from doing that and let water come back to the city, it actually reveals a whole new section of the city that you can explore when the water drains.
That's amazing.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then when certain factions take over, sometimes some of them will add things that'll make it easier for you to get around the city, like ropes and stuff like that, zip lines, and other ones will add, things will get more dangerous if you support other ones. So it's going to be a really interesting game.
That's cool. That sounds like it's going to add a lot of value to the game in terms of replayability. You know what I mean? Because you're definitely going to do a run through, and then you are not going to have the same experience twice if you make very different decisions.
Definitely. Yeah.
Which is obviously something that all the Telltale games would posit and things like that. But I guess in this way, it's interesting to see that in what is essentially a first-person shooter, right? It's
right. Yeah.
It's cool.
It sounds
That does
stressful.
sound pretty awesome.
Those games scare me, man.
You play
Like,
Cuphead. Like, what are you talking about? Stressful.
That's different. That's entirely different.
Yeah,
No,
that one has
I don't-
hilarious music playing the entire time.
It's cute. Yeah. No, I don't like the feeling of impending doom. It does tend to penetrate my entire being, and then I become a very stressed out individual, and that's not what playing games is about. So I tend to,
boy.
I take a step back from any kind of horror survival-y type games.
So I take it you haven't played Resident Evil 2, the new.
I mean, funny
remake?
story. Ross and I used to play Resident Evil when we were kids, because that's how long we've known each other.
Oh,
when we
boy.
were like
Wow.
14, I had to. Do you remember we were playing Nemesis?
Yes, I do.
And I had to refer to him as Nemi because I was trying to make him cute so that I could deal with it, but I couldn't. It was terrifying.
That's
The whole
awesome.
thing was terrifying.
The ever-present gigantic scary monster that might show up at any
Yeah.
moment. Yeah.
Awful, just awful.
Little Nemi.
Yeah, I'm no good. Nemi. I played the first Resident Evil and quite enjoyed it, but I mean, in a, I don't know, in an odd way.
You know, I can tell that you're somebody who's not a huge fan of the horror genre. So I would definitely don't let anybody convince you to play Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. It's Resident Evil 7, right?
Yes.
Because that game, like out of all the Resident Evil games that I've played, that one by far is the most disturbing. Even in the first like 15 minutes, you go into this house. And the house is just like a filthy, like a hoarder house, kind of like it's awful. They got nasty stuff. But if you ever do play that game, do not open the fridge in that first room.
Yeah,
I'm going to leave a
yeah.
post-it for myself on the off chance.
The most disgusting thing is in that fridge, and I'll tell you what it is, just so you
Okay.
can avoid it.
Okay.
There is a box of uncooked spaghetti inside of the fridge.
Yeah.
Jesus.
What the fuck?
These people are animals.
Fucking monsters.
I know.
Who
It's by
does
far
that?
the most disturbing thing that we've ever seen in a game.
I almost threw up.
Lauren,
It was-
I see a Resident Evil 7 stream in our future with you playing
Okay.
and me laughing at you.
Well, okay, but I'll need someone to be with me, like in the house, just to safeguard
Yeah, I
against
think
my mind.
I think that sounds like a really good opportunity for you guys because, Lauren, just watching you stream like these terrifying games could be highly entertaining, although traumatizing to you.
Yeah, just
But-
everyone else will love it. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone else will absolutely love it. Like watching you play Dying Light and having like a panic attack and like just like,
Just having a fucking
Yeah,
meltdown.
no, it's gonna happen. I'm thinking about it, and it's already. My chest feels tighter. It's happening. It's fine.
That's how you know you're onto a winner. Yeah, that tingling sensation in your left arm, that's excitement.
Exactly that.
Yep.
Okay, well, I'll let you guys know.
Yeah, we want to watch the Resident Evil 7 stream because there's some things in that I will never forget.
Yeah,
Okay, I
it
can't
truly
wait.
is though. Like being 100% serious, it's my favorite horror game probably that I've ever played. It is so good.
It is
like
a very,
visually
very good game. Yep.
Okay.
crazy, disturbing, and awesome.
Yeah. The most disturbing thing in the game, Emery, like when I kept saying like, man, that's just nasty, Emery just kept going and like, you know, just getting as close to it as he could and forcing me to look at it.
Yeah.
So that was wonderful.
Aaron, I just want to give you a little update. I have successfully found your 7 Days to Die game, and you should be able to see it from now on.
Oh my
How?
goodness.
Beautiful.
You
Well done.
accidentally hid it.
I told you. I told you that's what had happened. I didn't even know you could do it, but I knew.
Neither did I. I had no idea, but the fact that you mentioned it, I was like, is that a thing? And it totally is. You accidentally hit it, and I unhid it. So now you
Oh
can
my
see it.
Do you think you did that in a fugue state because you're just traumatized after so many episodes of 7 Days that you're now like, you know, you're subconsciously trying to prevent
Subconsciously.
yourself playing it any further?
No, that's the game I just go back to forever. I love that game. I think probably what happened was, you know, we were like scrambling and panicking for a live stream or something, and I probably accidentally clicked, you know, right click on my mouse and wasn't even looking at the screen. Who knows? You know, and also we get
Yeah.
drunk a lot, so weird things can happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Drunken
Well,
I have
it's
no
back
idea.
now.
God, it's just such a relief now. I can't believe it. It's like the world is right again.
Good.
So now you no longer have to get the Epic Store because you're back to liking Steam again. Hooray!
Yes.
Epic Game Launcher.
Yeah.
Don't
Epic
need it.
Game Launcher. Don't need it. Except for everything.
Except for all
You
those
know-
exclusives.
I got to talk about Outer Worlds because it is going to be such a fun thing to play on our channel. What do you guys know about Outer Worlds?
This is the Ninja Theory game, right? That's what we're talking
No, this is the Obsidian game, and yeah, obviously, Aaron, I know quite a bit. Yeah,
Yeah, this guy will. Hello. Hang on a
but
second.
yeah, I don't want you talk.
Well, the demo that I saw, it's really, very New Vegas-y because Obsidian, and except for, it's on like an alien planet, and there's like the yellow brick road that you can follow around. It's not exactly a yellow brick road, but it reminded me of that. And, it's similar, like you can decide to negotiate with people, you can kill them for other people or go kill the other people, similar to New Vegas, those kind of decisions to make. And companions and all that stuff. So really what it feels like to me is just, in a way, it's almost like a Fallout sequel or something. And that makes me really excited about it because I love conversing with NPCs in those games. It's so joyous.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of your favorite things.
And there are pigs. They're called cysty pigs?
Cysty pigs, yes.
Cysty pigs that grow bacon tumors on their back, which are then harvested.
No, but if you think about it, it's a humanely sustainable.
No,
form
I
of meat
agree.
farming.
It's fantastic.
Exactly.
That's what we should be doing here. What's wrong with us?
I love the way that they described it. Was that we like when they're ripe, they just drop off for easy harvesting. It's just like that's what you want. Gathering up your meat products from the floor of a pigsty.
Little bacon balls.
Mm-hmm.
Little bacon balls. That's nice. Delicious.
I love bacon balls.
I don't doubt that. You said it with such conviction. I think that the thing with Outer Worlds is that it's definitely not the same size as one of the the previous Fallout games. It's a bit of a tighter thing. In fact, in one of the interviews they were saying that it's more akin to a Knights of the Old Republic kind of situation, where there are these large areas with lots and lots of dense things to explore within them, but it's not like a true open world. But I don't think that's going to mar anybody's enjoyment of the game. Like the tone and the feel of it is very Obsidian, in terms of its moral choices and as Aaron was saying, like the opportunities to align with somebody and then more or less double cross them at any point during a quest line is really reminiscent of New Vegas.
And your companions have opinions, and they throw them in when here and there in a pretty awesome way. So you can your companions will tell you like what they think should happen, and try to advise you on your decisions in a way.
Yeah, there was also a really cool element of the speaking of the companions. There was a really cool element of how you can build your character. Because typically in these games, you would probably min-max your way to, either like a glass cannon-y type with big guns, or a brawler, or somebody with a lot of charisma, etc. But they added a statistic called leadership, which is something that you can put into your main character, and then rather than having to specialize down one tree, you can choose a companion who gives you specific bonuses in either stealth or deception or or gun shooting or whatever, and the heroism and leadership stat kind of amplifies the effect that comes from those characters. So you can kind of build yourself for the right situation based on which companions you take with you into a mission. I thought that was very cool. That's something quite cool. Unique.
Yeah, definitely.
And it looks pretty, so I'm in.
Yeah.
That's how it works, right?
It really does.
It actually does.
It
does look very pretty, yeah.
It looks amazing.
Yeah.
It's so like No Man's Sky palettes, but yeah, just pushing it a bit. I like that a lot.
Yeah, it gave me kind of like BioShock vibes a little bit visually.
And a teeny bit of Mass Effect as well. Just a teeny, just a sprinkling.
Bio
cool.
Fallout Sky effect, yeah.
Yeah, my fave. Game of the year.
But it's good that it doesn't just look like one thing, you know,
Absolutely.
because then it's not like ripping off or something. You know, it's unique enough. I'm really looking forward to it. Everything about it seems like it's right up my alley, you know.
I thought you were going to say right up your ass.
It's right up my ass, you know.
It's that kind of game. I'll put it right up there.
I love it. Put it somewhere safe.
Now, we were talking about Outer Worlds, but I want to give Ross a chance to tell us all about Outer Wilds.
Oh, this is not typically an E3 game, though. I mean, it's...
No, it's new. It's a new game.
It is. I want to talk about... I will... Don't let me talk for too long, because I will gush about this game. It is a really beautiful, charming little game, which is currently available. If you have an Xbox Game Pass subscription, it's on Game Pass and also available on the Epic Game Store. And it is a kind of beautiful little solar system simulator where you start as a little three-eyed or a little four-eyed person on a planet, and you talk to your charming friends, and they're talking about launching your space rocket out to join the rest of your space exploration programs, and it's all very quaint. The rockets are partially made out of wood, and they treat going to outer space very much like camping, because their solar system is only a few kilometers across, and it's just delightful. And you take off, and you have to learn proper non-Newtonian physics. Like everything carries forward, like momentum carries forward. So you don't just thrust forever, because if you do, you end up overshooting where you're going or crashing into the sun, which will happen frequently to you. But it's not too much of a spoiler to say that after 22 minutes of gameplay, the sun goes supernova and everything is destroyed. And then you wake up at the campfire at the start of the game again. And you then have to play the game and figure out what's happening and why you're stuck in this loop.
Whoa.
And it's essentially an exploration type game. It's very like Myst, or it really gave me the Witness vibes while I was playing it. But it's not heavy puzzles. It's more like just explore everywhere, and you get pieces of information, and those pieces of information are preserved across your deaths. So you can always go back to your ship's computer and look at what information you've gathered, and just throughout the course of the game, you have to solve this mystery about what's happening. And the music is wonderful. The writing is understated but entirely charming and very witty. The way the game is designed is amazing. The way it looks is amazing. I would talk more about the different environments, because there's only like 5 or 6 planets or 7 or so distinct locations, but they are all so like densely packed with things to explore and things to uncover. It is just a magnificent game, and you never feel. And Lauran, I know that you'd be worried about the impending sense of doom of there being a supernova every 22 minutes.
As long as it's not like an individual trying to eat me, I'm probably okay.
Then it's all right. Well, it is a sun trying to eat you.
Does it have a mouth?
No.
Then we're fine.
Then you're all right. But yeah, effectively, it gives you license to kind of take risks and try things, because if you want to try something out and you're worried it might kill you, hey, you're going to reset back at the beginning of the 22 minutes, and then you can do whatever. You can try again a different way. But equally, it does ratchet up tension sometimes, because sometimes you'll have spent like nearly 20 minutes trying to get somewhere, and you get somewhere new, and then something risky comes up, and you're like, oh my god, if I die now, then I'm going to have to do all of this part again, and like then you get like a little bit of the heart pounding going in the adrenaline. It is a really, really fantastic game. I cannot stress enough how good it is. I think if you go online and or on Twitter or something and look at like what people's impressions of this game are, lots of people think the same as me. They didn't really know what to expect going in, and it was just really charming. So I heartily recommend it. It's definitely...
Well, on your recommendation, I do have it downloaded and waiting for me in my Epic Store, just so everyone knows.
That is fantastic.
But yeah, I'm really looking forward to playing this. I've seen a lot of people really being very, very excited about it. So yeah, it's on my list. Thanks, pal.
And it's called Outer Wilds, in case somebody missed that.
Yes,
Listening.
not the Outer Worlds.
I'm glad I can't get it on Steam because I'd probably just hide it anyway. So it's for the best.
You hide all the games you love. It's all right. I take that as a
I
compliment.
do, yeah. Any game that I've played too much, I hide it. Lauran, what is your current favorite game or new game?
From E3?
From anything.
Well, I don't even know how new it is. I'm playing a really weird game right now. It's not that weird. It's like I'm playing a game called. Hang on just a second to make sure I get the title absolutely right. Weedcraft Inc. And you are a guy who's come home. His dad's died, and he's had to move back home. And your little brother convinced you to set up a little weed growing area in your house. And then, there's mafia, there's other dealers. You've got to micromanage your staff. Like, that's what I'm into right now.
Oh my God, it's
and
like
I'm really
Breaking
into
Bad,
it.
the video game.
Yes, but also like when you're tending to your plants, you can change like all of the blimey, sorry about that. You can change all of the the nutrients in the soil to try and get the best grow, and then you can sell it for more. Like, I didn't know I liked management sims as much as I did.
You just need the right subject matter to stimulate you, right?
Yeah, well, no, but I used to have it with 2 Point. Like, I can spend hours playing 2 Point Hospital, but Weedcraft Inc. has got me. That's where I am, and I'm not sure how new it is, but I really enjoy it.
I do know that Drug Dealer Simulator's coming out soon, or it might already be out. I'm sure we'll be playing that.
Yeah,
it's good fun. It's good fun. And the police are involved, and you've got to lie to them or give them money. Like, I feel like such a gangster. I love it.
That's awesome. I'm not very worldly, but this was the first time that I've ever heard a real life British person say "blimey," and it made me very happy.
Yeah, I fully admit to that myself, actually.
Gosh, guys, I've just finished my cup of tea. I was just about to have another slurp just to add to the,
the twee nuance. I'm sorry.
It's over.
I apologize for us coming in here and Britishing up your podcast.
No, it needed it.
Totally.
Touch of class.
You Britished all over the place.
Everywhere.
That's what we do.
It gets everywhere. It'll take you weeks to clean it up.
Well, that is our new games segment for E3. And briefly, I wanted to discuss one of the things that is becoming a big deal, and I saw at E3 a bit, which is stuff like Stadia, Google's Stadia, and streaming games and streaming gaming, whereby you can now, or will be able to soon, play most video games via any device. Doesn't matter how shitty it is. As long as you have an internet connection, you can play via servers, I think, is sort of how it works. And and you can pretty much play them flawlessly. Who would like to speak to this?
So, from what I understand, it's kind of like that whole cloud computing promise that was made, back when the Xbox One was first announced. This idea that moving forward, people wouldn't have to upgrade their hardware. They would just connect to the cloud, and then the cloud would, there'd be really powerful computers out there that would do all the processing for you. And it sounds really, really great. And I hope that it ends up being the future. But kind of the one major roadblock that still exists is people's connection to the internet, and the whole fact that now companies, internet service providers basically put caps on how much data you can have. And if you're doing massive processes, and like you're playing games for 8 hours a day, you're going to reach that cap. You know what I mean?
I think it is definitely the caps more than the speed that are going to be the problem here. And the ISPs will eventually be forced to catch up, and you have to bear in mind that the US and Canada are somewhat behind in terms of the top broadband. If you're thinking about places like Scandinavia, where they've had fiber laid down for the last 15-20 years, and they've got 100. They've had a gigabit up and a gigabit down for a while. Then it's not so much of a concern for them. But the speed part of it. Stadia is quite good. I mean, the way they were describing it is that I think you only need a 15 or 30, I don't remember if it's 15 or 30 megabit down to get 1080p and stereo at 60 frames per second.
Okay.
And then it's not much, but I think it's like 45 or something to get you up to 4K and 5.1. It's effective. If you can stream Netflix in 4K, then you can use Stadia.
Yeah.
But then, like you said, I think somebody did a calculation online, and they were saying that if you played, you'd be using something like you'd use up a terabyte within a couple of weeks if you're playing like 8 hours a day or 6 to 8 hours a day, which is not really outside the realms of possibility.
No.
For someone like me.
Never mind. I mean, teenagers.
Yeah,
a lot of households.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
A whole household with a bunch of people in it.
Yeah.
Several of them wanting to play.
I don't know if you guys had the chance last year. That Google did run a test of this technology, which was available, I think, via invitation. You could sign up for it, and then they would send you an invite. And they partnered with Ubisoft to let you play Assassin's Creed Odyssey in a Chrome browser.
Neat.
And I had a crack at this. I tried it like in the office environment, and I tried it at home. And it certainly, it felt great. Like there was very, very hardly any discernible input. I mean, the other thing that people worry about with streaming, and rightly so, is input lag, right? It's that's the thing that makes things feel like you're moving underwater. I guess most people who listen to this are kind of like au fait with the idea of input lag, but if you're not, it's like when you move the stick and then things don't immediately move. That feels weird. And in the menu system, because it wasn't optimized for gamepad, it was like you were moving a pointer. That felt a little bit sluggish. But when you were actually playing the game, because Assassin's Creed has kind of got like a little bit of built-in input lag, like the character doesn't immediately start moving the second you move the stick. Like it masked that really well. And I have to say, like, it felt really good. It felt like you were playing it natively, and like it doesn't matter if you've got like the Xbox One or the One X or the 4 or the 4 Pro or whatever, because you're effectively playing on a top-of-the-line PC at max settings at 60 frames per second, and you don't have to pay for that. So, the promise of this product is really fantastic. But they have to deliver on the input lag, they have to deliver on the bandwidth issues, and they have to deliver on delivering a good experience on that internet speed.
Yeah, and the lag, I'm not super familiar with the technology behind it, but it seems to me like that is where the speed is going to be, like your upload-download speed would be affecting that, right?
Somewhat, yeah. I mean, that's somewhat the case. I think it's more about the controller inputs, because that you have to be so much faster with that. So in fact, the Stadia controller itself, if you buy the Founders Pack or whatever it is, and you get the Stadia controller, that thing connects directly to the Google servers via your Wi-Fi to try and minimize the input lag as much as possible. You do not technically have to use a Stadia controller. You can use any controller that you've got, but then it has to Bluetooth to your phone, I think, into a Stadia app that then has to connect via your Wi-Fi. So that's adding an extra step.
Okay. Yeah.
So your experience, I think, is always going to be better with the native controller. But how much of a difference that makes, we won't know until like it's out and running. But they must believe that the input lag isn't too bad, because they've got like, it seems like they've got Mortal Kombat 11, and like they've partnered with Destiny 2, like in a big way.
Yeah. First-person shooters and fighting games is where people are going to notice the input lag more than anything else. Yeah. So that would be the big test.
And they've doubled down. Like they're giving away Destiny 2 and all future expansions with every Founders Pack sold. So they must believe that they can deliver on what they're promising.
Yeah,
it's really interesting. I hope it doesn't end up to be, kind of another on the list of games industry ambition fables that didn't quite make it.
You're on live.
Like, it sounds really cool, but let's see if it works.
Yeah, because I've been looking into upgrading my computer and buying like a GTX 2080 or something for like $1,100.
Yeah.
But maybe I could save myself $1,000 and just wait a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know.
I mean, yeah, and I think that they didn't do a great job of messaging this either, but you can pay for the subscription. Like, once it's up and running, I think the only way you can get in on day one is to buy this Founders thing. But once it's up and running, you can sign up for the service and not pay a subscription, and then just pay for whatever game you want, and you'll only get 1080p and stereo. And if you want to pay the subscription, then you get up to 4K and 5.1. But if you've not got great internet anyway, and you're happy in 1080p, then like there you go. Like you just need to buy the games you were buying anyway, and no need to buy a plastic box.
Yeah, it's very fascinating.
I gotta thank Ask Ninja Lolo for that topic, and sort of connected. Craig Saturn posted a topic in our podcast topics thread about video game subscription services. So maybe we could just briefly talk about that. Like, are they worth it? Will they be a good thing?
I mean, I think they've always been worth it. I think every video game subscription service, like when you boil it down, if you like the games that are being put out, then they're all worth it. Like even like the EA Play one for $15 a month, I think it is. Like as long as you like EA's output, then you're getting early access and like every game they've put out plus a bunch of stuff in their catalog for $15 a month. I mean, if you play a lot of games, that makes a lot of sense. And I think PlayStation Plus is worth it because you've been getting stuff that way. And Game Pass is definitely worth it. You're basically getting
Game Pass is worth it.
Yeah, you're basically getting every new first-party product. But the problem becomes, is it worth it to have all of those subscription services?
That's the issue, right? And this is something that we're seeing, like, not just in video games. I sit there of an evening when I want to watch something, and I can't even decide which subscription service to go to watch something. Like, games is the breadth of video games that are available across all of these subscription platforms is crazy. And how can you have, like, I'm sure there are plenty of people that have all of them, but that it seems excessive to me.
Well, like
games industry person seems excessive. People play too many of these games, guys. We need to do something.
Well, like being in the games industry and being, YouTubers, like we kind of have to have all of this shit. And I assume that, that a lot of our fans don't because they don't need to. I don't want to have all these things, but I don't have any choice. And not only that, but like for entertainment, I have to have like, I got to have Netflix, I got to have Amazon, I got to have all these other things because there's shows that, I need to watch because it's not only just for entertainment, but also just to keep up with like, what everyone's excited about. And if it's something that you
need to have an opinion
should visit or talk
things,
about.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So, so it's just it's getting to the point now where I'm just seeing like all my money every month just fly out the window for, 10 different subscription services and for my internet service, which I have to pay like, ungodly amounts for my phone, all the different devices and stuff like that.
For your
and so
military
it's like,
satellite lease line that you have, yeah.
It's like you have to make all these sacrifices just to keep, all these forms of entertainment available to you. And it's so ridiculous.
Yeah. And then you're forced to stay home. Because you have no money.
To stay home
and then you can't choose the thing to play. Yeah.
I remember back in the day, I used to every weekend go to Blockbuster and rent like the newest game that came out. And then I would play it and I would beat it over the weekend, and then I would return it and then I would rent the next game that I wanted to play and I would beat it and then I would return it. And that it kind of reminds me actually a lot of the subscription, passes or whatever that get you access to all these games, most of which you're never going to play. But it kind of it would be like if Blockbuster existed, but then also so did a competing place near me that was called Hollywood Video. And it would be like if Blockbuster only carried certain games and didn't carry some, and then Hollywood Video carried some games Blockbuster didn't, and you had to drive across town to like 6 different places to get the different games that you wanted, and you also had to pay like to be a part of the membership for each one. Like it wasn't that complicated back then. You went to one place and you were able to get whatever game you wanted, and I kind of miss the simplicity of that.
I think this is really just a matter of a utilitarian argument here, right? Like it depends what kind of gamer you are. If you don't really know what you want, but you just like playing games, right? Then these subscription services are really good for you. Or you want to be told what to play, Look at it like this. If right now you are buying one video game a month, which to a lot of people may seem like a lot, but to many people, like buying one $60 video game each month is not crazy. Like,
Yeah.
So that's going to get you PS Plus, Game Pass, EA Play, and like Ubisoft's new subscription service, for example. Right? So that is a huge number of games, like, and some of them brand new. I mean, it's not necessarily the one you want to play, though. Right? So it really comes down to whether or not, like, you want to work through a backlog of all of these things, and you want what you want to do from a purely value standpoint. $60 for 4 subscription services is a lot to juggle, but like if you buy a game regularly every month, then you're going to get way more value out of the services.
You make a very good point, Ross. That's a great case.
But it has to
That's
be
not
games
bad.
you want to play.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. And I'm that gamer. I'm that gamer that doesn't know. I would just boot up Game Pass and stare at it before leaving the room.
It sounds like you have a real
occasionally I'll
problem
even
with
play a
decision
game.
making. Like,
Oh, dude, how have you only just worked this out? My God, my whole life.
Yeah, I'm completely the opposite though. As I've grown older and become, just my taste has changed and whatnot. I used to be the kind of person who would go out and rent games, and whatever, and just beat them and be done with them. Now I'm the kind of gamer who I really only play like 2-3 games maybe, and I'll play them for years. And I'll take a look at all the ones that are coming out. And honestly, if it wasn't for the fact that I do this for a living, I probably wouldn't have even touched 99.9% of games that get released, even the big ones. Like I wouldn't have even played Anthem for a fucking minute if we didn't get it for free, Or I guess we didn't get that one for free, but we had to buy it, but like we had to play it.
sure,
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you had to be part of that conversation.
Yeah, if I was working literally any other job, I wouldn't have played it.
He would have stayed home and played Honey Pop like any normal person.
Exactly. Exactly.
Or Weedcraft, because those are the kind of decisions that are fun to make.
Yes.
How much
PH
weed
decisions.
am I going to grow today?
How much am I going to charge this bum? Big question. No, it's good. It's great fun.
So yeah, I don't know. I guess the question was, what do we think of it? And the answer is, if you like it, then it's good. If you don't, then it's bad.
Yeah,
if
if you play a lot of games, then it is worth it for you. If you are a more discerning customer in the way that Emery is, then that's maybe not the right choice for you. Yeah.
Discerning.
Have you ever been described as discerning before?
Probably not ever. But thank you.
Well, then it's a good thing.
I'll write that one down in my log of compliments.
Yep.
All right, we have a couple more things that I want to talk about on this podcast. One of them is, let's see, who asked this one? It was Mongoose. Mongoose asked, what are your favorite fantasy and sci-fi books?
Ooh.
And I'm happy to start.
Go for it.
My favorite fantasy sci-fi books as a kid was actually a series called The Prydain Chronicles, written by Lloyd Alexander. It had sort of it was like a Welsh, legends. There were some similarities to Lord of the Rings, but Lord of the Rings was based off similar old Welsh legends, I think, or I think it was Welsh. I don't know. Anyway, it was a really cool book series, very creative. It was about a kid. He's an assistant pig keeper, taking care of a pig for basically what amounts to like a wizard, and he gets caught up in a bunch of adventures, and throughout the series of books, and that was a great book series when I was a kid. So that's probably my favorite fantasy series. The Black Cauldron is the most famous one of those. There was actually a movie made a long time ago that was really shitty, but the books are good.
Awesome.
Black Cauldron, the Disney movie.
Yes.
That's a weird one.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they wrecked it. So
my favorite fantasy series of books that I read, besides Game of Thrones. We're just gonna throw that one to the side a little bit. But it's called Dragonlance. You guys heard of it?
No.
Dragonlance novels.
Oh yeah, I used to read about Raceland and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh God, so good, so good. I'm a huge D&D nerd, and Dragonlance actually is one of the settings that D&D has. Like, it's got a whole world and deities and races and all that in there, and written by Margaret Weiss and Tracy
Margaret
Hickman. Weiss.
Yeah.
Weiss.
Weiss
Yeah.
Hickman, yeah.
They're really good novels. They're definitely targeted at, kind of like teenagers. And I think I was in my teens when I read them. But they got some really excellent stuff. And I would recommend, definitely, my favorite series in those books was the War of the Twins, which is, like you mentioned, Raceland. He's like this wizard who has a twin brother. And Raceland's like really scrawny, and like he has all sorts of like health issues, and he's fragile and frail, but he's like super hyper intelligent. And his brother's like the opposite. He's kind of oafish and dumb, but he's like really buff and strong and charismatic. I don't know. The books were just really good, and they just expanded my imagination so much as a teen.
That's really cool. I really love like when. I love science fiction and fantasy books more than like all others because they allow you to explore like philosophical thought experiments, especially science fiction. It's all about like holding up a mirror to society in extreme ways to show how people would react to that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what's really cool about them. Okay, so I have like a few, if that's all right, like a few series I would want to recommend to people.
Ross.
All right, so there is a series of books by a guy called Hugh Howey. The first one is called Wool. And they're a trilogy, Wool, Dust, and Shift. And they are about people that live in these big converted silos, and they can't go outside. And there is definitely like a sense of strong claustrophobia, and there's amazing world building in these books about like there's no elevators, so they have to walk up and down the stairs in these silos, these old converted nuclear silos. And they have a brutal society where they banish people to go outside. It's a very interesting series of books. Like the second book in the series kind of really changes things up, but in a good way. And so I would heartily recommend that series to anyone who's into sci-fi.
I've read the first one, but I haven't read the other ones. You're making it sound like I should probably pick that up.
I think if you go read Dust, you're going to be really surprised by how it reads, and then
interesting.
Yeah, it's a really, really strong trilogy. I also like a series of books called the Artifacts of Power series. Is by Maggie Fury, and the first book in that series is Orion, and that's very much a classic fantasy series about a girl who wants to train to be a wizard, and she goes to a mage's college, and then there's like intrigue, mystery, and lots of stuff about how the arch wizard is maybe not who he appears to be, and then they introduce like other races of like giant cats and winged people, and it's very classic high fantasy stuff. But I enjoyed that a lot when I was younger, so that's a really strong set. And then, I mean, probably most people will know this one, but like his Dark Materials trilogy. The Philip Pullman books, starting with...
Really excited about the new TV show.
Yeah, well, after they really fucked up the Golden Compass with Nicole Kidman a few years ago, that was really bad. But yeah, it starts with Northern Lights, which was renamed the Golden Compass for American audiences. Shout out to Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. It's philosophers, guys. It's a series about a young girl who doesn't know her father, and she's like kind of in a world with where it's normal for you to have a demon that follows you around like a little familiar, and it's a strong allegory for being anti-organized religion and the Catholic Church, and it's a really, really fantastic series of books, and I strongly recommend that to anyone. I mean, they're definitely YA fiction, but you will get a lot out of them, even reading them as an adult. Like really strong.
Yeah, they are excellent. Absolutely.
And then shout out to anything by Terry Pratchett. big shout out because I love Terry Pratchett. Like the whole
Yeah, you
Discworld
love that
series is
stuff.
fucking amazing. Yeah.
Well, you've neatly, like, actually currently, Ross, I'm reading The Belle Sauvage, so it's all kind of coming together, which is a Philip Pullman book, which is set before the trilogy, I think.
Really?
Okay.
I think so. I mean, who knows? Anything could be happening. But this is the issue. Like right now, you guys are making me really jealous that I don't have time to read books. Currently, I've got 4 on the go. The Bell Jar, The Belle Sauvage, 48 Laws of Power, which is strictly for business reasons. And The River Cottage Handbook number 7, all about what's edible in the hedgerow. A bit of a
for foraging.
weird thing to be,
Yeah,
for foraging. Weird things, but I'm in for it. I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to make some
Are
elderflower
you all right?
wine.
Are you having trouble making ends meet? Like,
I mean, I'm not working at the moment, Ross. I'm getting by, okay? I'm getting by. I'm buying a house. I'm getting by. I'm going to eat from the ground, my friend.
Okay.
But as far as like favourite fantasy stuff, you've also made me realise that I don't know if I've ever read a sci-fi novel, which is a little bit concerning.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that's really, because I'm quite into it. That's odd. I've never thought of that. I'll look into it. But again, more of a young adult type thing. But when I was a kid, I read a series of books called the Deptford Histories, and I just loved them. Like super immersive, like first kind of introduction to fantasy at kind of 14, 15 years old. I adored them. In particular, The Oaken Throne. I would recommend it to anyone. It is about it's the story of a love affair between a bat and a squirrel. True story.
Sold.
It's great. It's really good. It's forbidden, Ross. Forbidden love between a bat and a squirrel.
For obvious reasons.
Of course that's forbidden,
Yeah.
of course.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's so good. Yeah,
Together they grow and sell weed.
Let's rewrite this bad boy. I'm in.
I want to make one final sci-fi recommendation, which I can't believe I didn't think of at the time, but The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Oh, of course.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah.
One of the best books ever written.
I've read bits of that, so that almost counts.
Yeah, almost.
5 books bringing a new new meaning to the word trilogy. Yeah, all 5
Yeah.
books.
That probably is one of the most influential books of my entire life. I
Oh,
would
me
think.
too.
Very
That's
much so.
Me
rad.
too.
Yeah.
It completely like changed the way that I not only saw the world, but like my sense of humor was completely altered by reading that book.
Definitely.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
super, super excellent.
I always viewed.
I cried the day that the author died. My brother woke me
Oh,
up.
I know.
And I remember exactly. I was like sleeping in my bed at my parents' house, and my brother walks in. And he's like, "Hey, the guy who wrote those books that you like, Hitchhiker's Guide, yeah, he died." And then he like walked out.
What?
Savage.
Oh, that's harsh. He didn't even bring you a cup of tea? Like, what is
No,
this?
no, he didn't.
Do you ever play Starship Titanic, Emery? The interactive fiction game that was written by Douglas Adams.
No.
Yeah, it did not work great, but it's full of whimsy. Like, you can check that out. I'm sure you'd
Awesome.
need DOSBox or something to get it running, but yeah, Starship
Yeah,
Titanic.
he did a bunch of
Titanic.
text-based games that I played back in the day, and they are they were the best text-based games you'll ever play. And
Of course.
it's pretty easy to find them now, so online.
I'll
But
have to
they're-
look that up.
They're joyous. Well, speaking of being influenced forever by something, here
Good
are
God,
some
what are you about to
comments.
do?
Here's some comments. I'm not going to do anything bad,
Okay,
but
okay.
I'm just going to read some comments on our videos, which always are fun, especially this particular batch. This first one is from I Hate Dan Gamer 193, and he says on our latest 7 Days to Die video, he says, "Could you guys be friends with someone who supports Trump?"
Is he asking? Is he saying, "Look, could you?
I mean,
would
you?
you mind being friends with somebody who's supposed to?"
Yeah, I think so.
Could
I
you
think
find
so.
one? Thanks.
And like, yeah, of course. Like, politics is not the only thing that Emery. In fact, politics is one of the things I care about least in life.
Oh, yeah.
It's such a horrible, frustrating mess. But yeah, I try to look past people's politics for the most part and like them for who they are, and I don't know. But if you wear one of those Trump hats, I might not be able to be friends with you.
So here's the thing. I'm thinking about this. I'm really trying to like dig deep, and I think that I could be a certain level of friend, because I believe there's a whole bunch of different like tiers of friendship. You know, so there's probably like I could probably be one of those low tier friends with the Trump supporter, but like I don't know, like if I had to have a conversation, like I think I don't know if I could do it, dude. I just really don't.
It really depends on the reasoning why, right? Because there are people who it's not as black and white as like, oh, anyone who supports Trump is an idiot, because there are people that support Trump genuinely because they believe that the economic argument, or that there is stimulus for the economy or whatever, and so they support him for those reasons. And for that reason, I mean, I can disagree with that, but I can definitely be friends with somebody. It has nothing to do with anything. Now, if they hold. If they support Trump because they are a member of the Ku Klux Klan and they like truly believe that like immigrants are poisoning their water and they want to like drive everybody out of the world and they're deeply racist, then I don't want to be friends with that person.
At that point, it's no longer about supporting Trump. It's about being an absolute twat.
Yes, exactly.
Right. And like, we wouldn't, you wouldn't want to be friends with someone like that anyway, whether or not they support whoever. You just like, we wouldn't be friends with someone like that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah.
I just to me, like, friends, if I'm going to consider you my friend, that means I'm going to talk to you a lot, and I'm going to like, I'm going to have a conversation with you at some point. And the only explanation I can really like understand for somebody supporting Trump and being like, okay, you're a decent person or whatever, is ignorance. But if you're my friend, I'm going to change that for you. You know what I mean? I'm going to tell you why you're wrong. And if that doesn't change your opinion, then ignorance is no longer your excuse. And then I can't be your friend anymore.
You will be indoctrinated into the cult of Emery.
No, exactly.
No, I mean, I totally get it. But I think actually sometimes, as long as somebody's like has opposing views from you, like for good reasons, and they're a sensible, like intelligent person, then that can lead to really interesting conversations. You say you want to talk to these people a lot, like that's going to be something that maybe drives your friendship forward, because holding different points of view from people close to you is a good thing. Definitely.
Yeah. Right. It is a good thing. It's a good thing to get other people's perspectives. And, like, to me, it sounds like Emery is just going to, he's going to, like, attack you physically and smash you into the ground if you disagree with him. But, like, disagreements are good, and it's good to change your way of thinking. Like, what I like in friends are people who can analyze information and adjust their own ways of thinking based on that information.
Absolutely.
And not just always be the same exact person forever.
If you can't take more
information
on board with a view to having your point of view changed, that's way more dangerous than having a bad point of view.
Exactly.
If you're just going to stick with it. But I mean, you're talking to someone who's currently living in the pre-Brexit post-apocalyptic. Apocalyptic.
Apocalyptic.
Yeah, apocalyptic.
You just invented something amazing.
It's neon green, made by Revlon. It's coming to stores near you.
Yeah, I'd wear it. I mean, it's the
you would though. You'd dye your hair that color, frankly.
I would. Like all we've seen the last 3 years of my life has been just watching the division, get bigger, watching that chasm just open up and friends and family on either side just screaming at each other and saying revolting things. And now I've gotten to the point where I think, you know what, if we can't just all talk about politics every now and then and realise that it for the most part, aside from what Ross said about, if you are supporting Trump because you're a racist, homophobic twat, that's different. But yeah, we need to be able to discuss these things. I think that's where we are. As long as everyone can have a nice, calm conversation, then I have no problem with having a similar conversation with them. I'm in. It's fun. Probably. I mean, it's terrifying sometimes, but it's fun.
As long as they have the same attitude as you, it's fun. You know, so when,
Yes,
then you can
attitude,
you can just put it all to one
exactly.
side at the end and like have a beer together. Then that's
Precisely.
fine.
Hug it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's almost nothing more important than just being able to change your perspective based on new information.
Agreed.
You know, instead of just sort of being full of fear and just like, nope, push that new information away from me. I can't take that in. I won't think about it. Like that just is a really bad way to live
So
life.
dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed.
I have a really great comment for us to end this podcast with. It's from Hale Marco. It's on the Skyrim for Pimps episode. He says, I almost choked to death on hot chocolate. Not even kidding. Like no one is home. And I was on the ground choking until I coughed up a big splat of shit. So yeah,
I mean,
so funny. I nearly died laughing. Also, I'm suing.
Wow.
I mean,
you guys.
so you need to put a legal disclaimer at the end of every podcast right now.
Do not drink hot chocolate during Skyrim for Pimps.
Do not drink hot chocolate with shit in it, for one. And
that's
then,
a bigger problem.
That might have been more his problem, actually.
I mean, I would choke too, frankly.
If you don't choke when you're drinking hot chocolate with shit in, there's something wrong with you. For sure.
Yeah, that means you're a Trump supporter and you can't be my friend.
Yes.
That's how you get them. That's how you know for sure. Once they throw up the shit.
Well, I would like to thank our special guests today, Ross and Lauran. Check out their podcast. It's the SuperCoolCast. We were on an episode. It was a lot of fun.
It was fun.
It was a really
I
great
laughed
episode.
a lot.
Yeah.
My face hurt afterwards. It was excellent. Great times, guys.
It was awesome.
Because we were sending you into fits of like clawing at your face to be saying horrible things.
In the best possible way.
Lauren's discovery of Disneyland Adventures will live on forever.
Oh god, I've been watching it. I
God.
love it.
That's a
Oh my
that
God,
makes
I
me
still love it.
mentions of it make me start clawing at my face.
It's gold. Absolute gold. But thank you guys so much. Thank you for having us. This is the first time Ross and I have been able to appear together on a podcast, so that's quite exciting. We enjoyed
Yeah,
that very much.
that's-
Thank you. I mean, I didn't check with him first. I think he enjoyed it. I don't know.
Had a great time, obviously. Yeah,
cool.
thank you very much, guys. And yeah, like we're definitely, you know, we've got more stuff coming over the next few weeks. We come out once every 2 weeks, hopefully, or thereabouts.
Give or take.
Yeah, with new episodes, and we will be hopefully putting up some specials as well here and there. And like, I think when it comes time to discuss Game of the Year, like, we'd love to have you guys back if you'd like to.
Oh my
do that.
gosh.
That would be
Can we?
so awesome. I would love to do that.
Let's do it.
There
I'd
you
love
go.
that.
Sure.
Pencil that in.
Okay. You're the
All right.
producer, though. Could you? handle
Yeah,
that?
no, I'll deal with it.
Thanks.
It's fine.
Thank you. Cool.
Try to trick
just
us
a
into
talent,
thinking that
guys.
you have an assistant or something.
What do I not pay you for, Ross? Goodness sakes.
Sorry. Yeah, you're completely right. Sorry, Mr.
Well,
Okay.
as usual, a special thanks to our patrons for supporting us, and we hope you enjoyed this podcast. We'll be doing another podcast, fairly soon. Until then, see you later.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.
See you now.